kind of weird perfect timing as AJ hopefully loads in, unless it's my connection. There we go. So yeah, we thought we were going to be starting as a twosome, myself and Owen, but AJ made it in just as like we pressed the button to go live. So kind of ironic, but there we go. So yeah, the last of the nominations are out, and I kind of feel a little underwhelmed, and then in some aspects overwhelmed by some of the stuff that has now come to fruition because of what was got announced in London at apparently lunchtime. So they're really trying to cater to the American audience. Normally, previous years, it's been sort of like 7 or 8 in the morning. My time was like, no, it's at literally midday, and like, oh, I can lie in. Um, so yeah, myself, AJ, and Owen are here to discuss BAFTA, also WGA, and the one bit that I still find crazy from having everything come out regarding what happened on Thursday. But we'll get to that. Quickly go through some of chat. Josie saying lead actor category at BAFTA shows us that Plemons was most likely number 6. Yeah, we'll get to that. Maybe if the Oscar nominations were held a few weeks later, Secret Agent could have been scoped to screenplay. Finally saw it was just an accident. Really good psychological thriller and morality tale would pair well with Sam Raimi's Simple Plan. Have you managed to catch that yet, AJ, or not? Because I can't remember whether it's come out.
Yeah, it was just an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So you think the pairing with
Um,
Simple Plan works?
I suppose when you see like the desperation of normal people in a particular situation,
Mm.
I really, I'm sure there's something more comparable. Off the top of my head, I can't quite think of it. It's almost kind of what's really funny is you could almost say it and Begonia are kind of comparable. It was we were literally just having the conversation in the last video about what you could pair with Begonia and the idea of having like the captive person and then everybody's not sure like is this or is this not who we think it is a theme.
Mm-hmm. Joe's just speaking of Sam Raimi, can't wait for Send Help. Um, I think that's next couple of weeks, isn't it? I don't know whether it's
It,
worldwide the same day.
I will be watching it about 12:30 on Friday.
Okay, so it's definitely opening here a week or two later.
It's had a lot of special screenings in the last week or so that's the reason why most people have seen it.
Mm-hmm. Josie says, I wonder if
Those
Inga could
reviews
win
are really
BAFTA.
promising also.
Josie says, I wonder if Inga could win BAFTA. We'll get to that. Yeah, Josie brings this up, which I feel is something that we might need to talk about, considering it. Is this being run as some sort of smear campaign, or is this actual sort of the reason why we're not getting Safdie Brothers films anymore? Um, I don't know whether you saw the stuff, AJ. Oh, and I think you saw like brief bits about it.
I don't know much about what's going on. I just saw the headline. I didn't dive any deeper into it.
Yeah.
A lot,
So
a lot of what I saw was saying that this isn't. I don't remember hearing this, but apparently it's not news. Apparently it was out there at the time,
Hmm.
and they're just kind of
it's suddenly being picked up again.
That is your campaign.
Yeah. So yeah, reportedly, it all revolves actually around good time. A 17-year-old girl was cast to pay a prostitute Once on set, she was thrust into a scene. Interesting wording there, page 6. A scene that involved nudity and simulated sex with quote unquote actor buddy duress during production. The issue being, um, while Josh, so the quote here is while Josh watched the action unfold on his monitor and Benny stood in the corner holding the boom mic, Duress, who was high at the time, pulled down his pants to expose himself and asked the girl if he could quote stick it in as the cameras continued to roll. Um, the uh, the onset source says any director who's seen that should have yelled cut and stopped the scene, but Josh let it continue. And I guess because Benny was sort of on the mic, he couldn't sort of stop it. And supposedly, in those cases, whoever was basically sat down to quote unquote direct the thing wasn't to be interrupted by the other sort of thing. um, it's interesting timing that it's been brought up now that it has. Um, whether it's sort of, oh, I see. So the same person that wrote this article for page 6 reported for Variety on the behind the scenes drama of, what was it, Bear McLeod, who I think was he DP? No, the producing partner, sorry, was getting divorced from Emily Rachowski, and apparently some of the stuff in the details, I guess, of the divorce that might have been disclosed as part of the reasons for the divorce came out then. But it wasn't sort of specifically noted as to what happened, just something happened on set. And then apparently that's basically where the Safdies sort of broke up, hence why we've got them doing some Mashing Machine and Mighty Supreme, respectively. So yeah, as long as there's sort of, it's interesting to see because I don't think either of them are sort of going to publicly bring it up. Whether said girl who now who would now be of age could confirm or deny what happened, because obviously Buddy died of a drug overdose, I think, a couple of years back. So we can't get his, terminology. Then again, if he was under the influence, he probably wouldn't have known what he'd done. So, but either way, it's interesting timing that it's been brought up when it has. I would say, whether it's trying to be some sort of smear thing, and but they don't try and touch Chalamet for whatever reason, even though, at least in terms of what I've seen of Mighty Supreme, Chalamet's the one that's really been the one that's pushing the shit out of it.
Well, yeah, for sure.
I guess the first thing that comes to mind, as far as discussing like Josh's involvement specifically, is it is interesting how you could say like, well, they're the Safdie brothers and they were the ones in charge, and Benny was there. Um, that now that we've seen Marty Supreme and the Smashing Machine, one of the first conclusions you could come to is it definitely feels like when you look at those two movies that Josh was probably the one much more at the helm of Good Time and Uncut Gems. So that makes sense to hear that he seemed to be the one directing the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really messy situation. I had heard that this wasn't news and that it had come out at the time, but I didn't remember hearing this until like yesterday. At least the details of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty egregious in many ways. But
At this point, it might also come into question Josh, Josh's stunt casting, if you want to call it that.
yeah.
Because apparently, as well, while shooting Jay Z's Our Block music video in Brooklyn 2017, they kept a child actor on a rooftop past 1 a.m. and long after the allowable 8 hours that the kid was supposed to be on set for.
God.
So it seems to be, and obviously the bit that got the buzz of what we talked about a few weeks back is the background actor just saying I was in jail for 30 years, don't fuck with me, don't want to see me angry, sort of thing. Maybe like there'll have to be some sort of vetting for stunt casting to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, the Smashing Machine also had non-actors, but it was people involved in that territory. It seems like Josh kind of wants to pull in people from everywhere.
Mm-hmm. um, Josie also randomly mentions Rockers was a fun Jamaican music movie with a Robin Hood theme. She also says, I've got a theory regarding the DVD scene in Sentimental Value. They actually do have a DVD player but are hiding it because they don't want, quote, film lectures from Gustav knowing that he abandoned them. And when Inga's husband says I hardly watch movies anymore, that's also a cover to avoid talk with the dad because they actually watch movies together all the time. Given Gustav's character, from what I've heard, that might actually seem like a possible thing.
That seems very logical, Josie. 100%.
So Bry obviously is starting to watch some of the stuff for this award season that hasn't got round to, and Bry said, now that I've seen it, I've got to ask, how did Wicked for Good get nothing at the Oscars? I thought it was on par with the first film. I think for me it's a big snub, certainly regarding makeup and hair.
Well, BAFTA kind of covered that a little bit, but we'll get there in a little bit as well.
Yeah. But still, yeah, it sort of is very much not going how I expected.
It was always going to be a huge year, and we've been talking about this since August. It was always going to be a huge year of snubs. Every year, they're like, what was the big snub this year? It's like, what wasn't the big snub this year?
True.
Like, at the end of the day, it's like a lot of things are going to get snubbed. I'm still butthurt about something at BAFTA, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm happy about one thing because I got one thing I wanted, but I didn't get the other thing. And it's in the same category, just the different sex. We'll talk about it later. And sorry for on camera. I literally just got off work and my battery was about to die.
I would. It's weird, and we've been talking about this. How, regardless of how you feel about the movie, it doesn't make a lot of sense in the tech categories. But it does seem weirdly, and it's one of those things where you can't see the Academy as one beast because there's thousands and thousands of them.
Certainly.
Despite what people believe, they don't actually get together and say, "Okay, guys, we're all gonna do this."
Yeah. There are 10,000 members, I think, from what I heard from one report say, at least at the minute.
Well,
But the fact that it couldn't get a single tech nomination feels targeted.
yeah.
Like it seems very intentional that it got absolutely nothing. I genuinely don't know how that happened.
I mean, even if you look at some of those brutally honest awards ballots, things like that, I mean, Wicked has its fan base. Wicked for Good never really got one, honestly. At the end of the day, though, it still seems very peculiar that it would do so little I mean, again, Brian, look at my predictions. I literally went down with the ship, just like American Hustle with Wicked. I went for it for nearly everything, and it bit me in the ass. I agree. It does feel like it was targeted, but why?
Well, there was the one thing, but I don't really know how seriously to take it. The thing about voters were weirded out by Arrivo and Grande's relationship or something, that's been floating around.
It's funny you mention that, AJ, because that's not a weird statement at all. Honestly, I've heard that from numerous sources, and I see 100% where they're coming from.
I mean, I get it. I'm just again curious how that would translate to the tech categories.
I just think damned if you do, damned if you don't. They were willing to be like, you know what? I mean, we're not going to go with Grande, which is the only thing it really had an actual chance at. So the tech categories just fell like dominoes. It's like, oh, there's other things that we're going to nominate instead. It's like, oh, this is a way to give another nomination to Sinners. Because, of course, there's a way to nominate One Battle one more time. Of course, there's a way to give some love back to Hamnet. Of course. But then it's like, okay, let's go with this random, very deserved, even though I've never seen it, for The Ugly Stepsister. I was like, okay, of course, that makes sense. Let's give the Smashing Machine one actual nomination. Awesome. Where's Wicked? Doesn't matter. There's no room.
Yeah, because I was looking it over again and trying to figure out if it seems like there was one that was pushed into some of these categories.
Oh, with
Because
BAFTA, it was, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
because I mean, when you look at, and maybe you agree with this or not, but when I look at the nominees for the most part, I don't get it's kind of easy to forget about Wicked because everything feels like it's right. The only thing that I think to most people, including myself, is Avatar and costume design.
I mean, I can't say this from like experience, and I don't know for a fact, but it almost seems like people picked the wrong category. Maybe
Like,
it was one of the balloting situations that visual effects was closer to something else and costume design was right there. And it was like, oh, let's give it to, they're thinking they're nominating it for something that they're not nominating it for because the ballots are. I mean, you can throw the conspiracy theories out all you want, honestly.
and there's also just what must have been absolute clusterfuck that the voting window was so small.
It's a shoot week. That's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it is weird that a movie nobody has heard of is in Song, which is the place you would think if it was going to have squeezed in just one, that might have been it. And they went with the completely what the hell is that choice.
There usually is a what the hell was that choice, but it's normally at least on our radar.
I was gonna say for people that don't follow as closely as we do, that was probably Dear Me.
Oh, I'm sure it was for people that don't know about the love for Diane Warren. But it seemed like it was custom made to have one of the Sondheim songs get in there, and it was always going to be Girl with a Bubble. If there was going to be one, it was going to be that one. It's the more impactful one in the movie, too. But the thing about it is everything we said about Wicked being Wicked for Good having Arrivo's like coming out party basically being completely negated by the fact that they just like, nah, we're not going there. We already gave Wicked their flowers last year. We don't need to do it again. This movie's not as strong. The movie doesn't need to be two parts. And I mean, hope that makes people realize that some movies don't need to be broken apart. Just do one film, get your accolades, and get out. That's for you, Avengers.
And you brought up Sinners. I have heard the conversation.
Oh,
But
Sinners is nominated. Let's vote for it.
well, the thing is, though, is I've seen that conversation where some people think like, how many of these that Sinners get shoehorned into? But honestly,
Nothing.
they don't. I was gonna say I don't see Sinners in a place where I'd go, oh, but why did they do that? That's just a coattail nomination. It makes all of Sinners' 16 nominations make sense to me actually.
And as the person that has to keep saying every single time we do a live, I don't hate Sinners. I like the movie a lot. It's gonna be a fun time in a couple months. But the thing is, it's just everything. Let's just say you hit the nail right on the head. Everything it got nominated for, it deserves. And honestly, if you really wanted to, you could have nominated it further. It could have got a second song nomination. It could have got a second supporting actor nomination. They could have finally went for Haley Steinfeld. They never did. If they wanted to, they could have really stacked the deck even more so. But they didn't. It could have broke. I mean, I don't know if it would have broke 20 if they would have done that potentially, like close to it. It would have broken a record that's not going to be broken until, well, I'd say the Odyssey is going to do really well next year, honestly. But
I gotta say something while we're on the topic about Delroy Lindo. We've been saying the whole season it's probably him getting his career nomination or them making for the Five Bloods and all that.
Sure.
I was watching his scenes back again since he's been nominated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a case of, oh, I'm sure it was probably the scene in the car when they drive by the slaves and all that.
Right.
And then he breaks into song, which apparently was improv by him, which is amazing.
Better.
And then I was like, oh, that's probably why he got in. Okay, I can get that. And then there's another scene, and it's like, oh, that's a really good scene for him too. And then another one came out, and it's like, oh, that's a really okay. This nomination is making more and more sense the more I look back. So the quality of the performance itself was absolutely a factor in this as well. In case anybody was questioning that,
It literally could have had 20 nominations. If they wanted to go all in on it, they could have easily, and all of them would have been deserved.
Yeah, which is crazy because I get it. If you see that, your first thought is, oh, they shoehorned it into some categories, but
No,
they really didn't.
I mean, I can think of movies that got shoehorned into categories. Sinners would never be the one. The only reason I jumped to Sinners is because you never know what the actual Academy voter is going to think.
Yeah, because I don't know where you stand on this. Me not being big on Frankenstein.
Right.
I don't see Frankenstein in any place it shouldn't be. So
I'm a little perturbed about the Elordi thing because there's so many better performances. However, if you have to put a gun to my head and say, does he deserve to be there just based on performance alone, my answer is yes. It hurts to say that, I won't lie, but he does belong there.
Yeah, because for as many as it got, Frankenstein has a lot of misses.
It didn't overperform as a lot of people thought it was going to. And I can say the same thing about BAFTA too, but again, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I keep forgetting we're here for BAFTA. I got sidetracked.
We're here for the chat, AJ.
Bry also said, following up from that, yesterday I saw Wake Up Dead Man and was disappointed. I did call on who did it, but I also think the pacing of the movie made it a little bit long.
I understand where you're coming from, but the theatrical experience I had in that actual sold out theater, which is hard to say because weirdly enough, I've had a sold out screening for all of the Knives Out movies. Knives Out, Glass Onion, which of course never came to my theater. It was only that preview weekend, and that was it. It was literally 2 days, and that was all they got. And then when I went out of town to go see it again, number one, I love the Phantom of the Opera scene. It's like literally one of my favorite scenes of the entire year, just because it's so fun. But I see where you're coming from. I feel like Wake Up Dead Man definitely underperformed, but was it ever really going to do much other than potentially a screenplay nod? Overall, great performances, but again, this is a year that there was no room for anything.
I think I'm with Brian on this. I haven't come out yet and said I was disappointed in Wake Up Dead Man.
But as you think about it, you're starting to realize that you might have been.
I don't think it's just such a different vibe.
100% it is.
And because I love Knives Out and I really love Glass Onion.
Right.
And I really like Wake Up Dead Man, but I didn't like fall in love with it.
I can say the same.
I have heard the length criticism quite a bit, and that's something I get because it does feel like the way that last third rolls out feels like there's almost maybe one too many layers.
Yeah.
But I still really like it, and I still want several more of them.
I mean, with the little like whetting of our appetite we got with the video that the Muppets did.
Yeah.
I would love to see that come to fruition in one way, shape, or form. With the Muppet Show coming to television again, I think would be a brilliant thing for that to be done, because Daniel Craig himself said that he would have done that in a heartbeat if it was an option.
This is a bit of a side thing, but I'll go ahead and mention it real quick. Did you see SNL's toy commercial?
Oh my God, it's one of the greatest things I've seen. I retweeted in a heartbeat. Oh my God.
What's great too is overall, I didn't see the whole thing, but it was a pretty weak episode.
Sure.
Tiana Taylor was going all in, but it was pretty weak overall, and then that just kind of that was like the one really great thing that.
Oh my God. It crossed my feed, and I was like, this neat. Like, obviously, I collect action figures. One Battle's my favorite movie of the year. Spoiler alert. So it's like, this is like perfect for me. I love this. I love this with every fiber of my being.
I'm just now I'm imagining you like plotting this SNL heist. You're gonna break into like the backstage area to get the because those props are there somewhere.
It gotta be somewheres.
Josie said, as regarding the Safdie stuff, I don't know if the news would hurt Timmy's chances as much as it would Marty Supreme's in screenplay and director, which it wasn't going to win anyway. Nevertheless, justice to the victim is a much larger issue than award.
I say pretty bulletproof right now.
Well, I suppose an example we could use that might be a little bit extreme. Like if Marty Supreme doesn't settle down, it could turn into Amelia Perez. Like it needs to. I mean, Chalamet's probably still gonna be Zoe Saldana, and it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But and it got like song too, right? But you could tell it took a massive hit when I'm Still Here took international. That it finally caught up to itself.
Yeah.
And all of its bullshit caught up to it.
I never forget when I got out of I'm Still Here. I remember I called you, AJ, and the first thing I said is, "We're in trouble." Like, this Torres thing isn't just like a hang-on nomination. It's very much deserved. And I'm very nervous about Best Actress now.
Of course, is there? I suppose editing, but
One man, yeah, it's better than people think it is.
apart from Chalamet, is there anything it's been really clocked in for
No,
to win?
nothing I can think of.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of it could potentially be up for is editing, but I think that's a One Battle Center's fight, if I
And I
had to
think
guess.
F1's the spoiler.
That's true. Ford versus Ferrari got editing.
And not only did F1 get editing for Oscar nominations, it got F1 in for BAFTA as well. So, but then again, so did Sinners in One Battle.
So more than likely, Chalamet's probably realistically its only chance anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say it would be a spoiler on original screenplay, but I think Sinners has. I mean, I personally I think Sinners was always going to win original screenplay, but I feel like that's probably more or less confirmed at this point.
Especially if you're going to give PTA's flowers this year, this is the way to honor Coogler and what he put towards the movie. So it's a way to everybody wins.
Speaking of, Kevin Davis comes in and says BAFTA and WGA will go with PTA. Oscar voters will give Coogler Sinners something because they don't want to have backlash or don't want to hear backlash, folks.
That's why I feel like he's guaranteed to win screenplay.
Bry also says, I did watch the Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon remakes. Lilo and Stitch I thought was fine. I will say they did their best on some of the changes to try and make it different.
Right.
But How to Train Your Dragon did nothing in its
Well, as everyone that's watched this channel for the longest time knows, I don't like that franchise anyway. I love Burke, don't get me wrong. It's my theme park rule. I hate Avatar, I hate Cars, but I love the theme park lands, and I hate How to Train Your Dragon, but I love Burke, so.
And then Josie mentions she thinks sentimental value could potentially get original screenplay.
Spoiler for sure.
Right, so we'll switch now
definitely
over to
have a problem
we'll switch over to actual talking about these nomination announcements. Starting with the one that was only 4 hours ago if you're watching us live. The Writers Guild.
Yep.
Further proving that 2,000 meters to Andrivka probably was the one of the ones that missed, given that it made it in here along with White with Fear and Becoming Led Zeppelin for documentary script. Also, it's interesting that like everything that I saw from the guilds, including editing and music, which I guess isn't a surprise considering Led Zepp. Like Becoming Led Zepp was also one that was sort of getting at least some of the guilds, but yeah, 2,000 meters is this year's What You Be My Neighbor in that respect, because I think it made it in pretty much all the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
And not anywhere else. Then to Adapted, where it's boring. Because it's Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Train Dreams. Which, that's the Oscar match, isn't it? Yep. How we always talk about, there's always major films that get snubbed in the categories. And then for once, they fucking match. Dear God.
The thing about WGA, it basically is the same issue they have with the USC scripter. Most things, not everything, but a lot of things that are in contention are not eligible. And that explains the original lineup.
Have we mentioned, by the way, that the scripter has already unsurprisingly been unveiled?
I did not know that, actually.
Take a wild guess.
God. Is
Well,
it one battle?
I was gonna say, it's specifically an adapted award.
Right.
So yeah,
It's gotta be one battle.
of course it is.
It was never going to be anything else. But original's interesting because since you can't run things like Blue Moon, they ended up going kind of inspired with two choices and giving Zach Kreger a very well-deserved nomination finally.
The guilds really had Weapons' back.
Yeah. Too bad no one else did.
Yeah, it was like if we had all of these before nominations day, I think we would have imagined a pretty different scenario. A lot of people would have imagined a pretty different scenario.
Yeah. Maybe I wasn't so quick to run weapons for picture.
I feel like it would have, because it got in at Ace too, right?
Yeah.
So it probably would have convinced you were absolutely on the right track.
Would have been nice if I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. I'm kind of. I'm pleasantly surprised that Black Bag made it in WGA though.
I like Black Bag.
At least it got some recognition.
And AJ did call If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You being an original screenplay nominee, called the wrong event.
I don't know if we said this in the live or not. I was convinced after we did the prediction video because I went with my heart and I went with Sorry Baby.
Right.
But I knew Blue Moon was right there. But actually, I was convinced, based on the fact that Byrne is probably very much like right underneath Buckley for second.
For sure.
I was starting to think, oh shit, I think If I'd Like I Kick You was the fifth slot, actually. I should have gone back to it. Because we started there
Yeah, for sure.
back in August. And then I came back around and I was like, oh shit, I should have come back around on that. So I was relieved about Blue Moon making the Oscar lineup in a number of ways. Number one, because I love the movie. But also it's like, oh, I was wrong. But at least I wasn't wrong in the fact of I knew for a fact what it was going to be the second I said the other thing. But no, it went. Yeah, I would have had when I was predicting, I would have had Sorry Baby. Then If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Then Blue Moon. So I was happy to be wrong in that sense, I suppose.
Because you mentioned the Eddies, I'll briefly mention that yeah, F1 Hamnet Sentimental Value, Sinners and Weapons made it into dramatic film. Begonia, Mighty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Wake Up Dead Man, and Wicked for Good for comedy musical.
I I stand by. I think Begonia was 6 in editing
Yeah.
because that was my prediction over Sentimental Value when we did that.
I don't know. The fact that this guild decided to put Thursday Murder Club up for best edited non-theatrical film, I'm like, that's a decision. Because to me, Thursday Murder Club felt like a TV movie, and I don't know whether that's complimentary or not. Considering how much of a fan I am of the book series.
Yeah, because when you read the first book, that you could have done that cinematically in a way.
Chris Columbus ruins it again. Damn it.
Which is insane because we know how capable Columbus is of being cinematic.
Yeah.
It's like it was like a I don't know.
But then
a for hire thing or
to some extent, in hindsight as well, when you look back at the Potter series, his films were the weakest. It is like they got better directors for the rest of them.
I mean, I disagree, but I get that that's the common.
Yeah, I just felt,
Yeah.
I guess, maybe it's just because the nature of the book's taking the darker tone because we actually get to Voldemort and whatever being a presence and, the body count sort of going. Whereas I
I,
don't feel. If you look at sort of most things that Columbus has done, at least since Potter, he's not really done anything that's gone too sort of dark and twisted. I mean, the Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2 don't help that image.
I get that most people like how it got darker and more mature as it went, but I'm definitely a Sorcerer's Stone Chamber of Secrets person, and I just think David Yates is so uninspired with all his grays, but but story wise I can get it, but Columbus is my Potter director personally.
uh, so, yeah, to BAFTA, where the first thing that at least I saw on Twitter that I thought was an interesting point to bring up. Okay, it was ineligible for WGAs, but the fact that Blue Moon got the Oscar nom for adapted, sorry, for original, despite missing, I think, every other award ceremony nomination. Let me see if I can. I'm just double checking to see if the Satellite Awards put it in. I don't think they did. No, they went with It's Just an Accident, J. Kelly, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. So, yeah. Blue Moon had no precedent and got an Oscar nomination.
Good.
A lot. I feel like it was somewhere because a lot of people were predicting it, and I'm trying to remember where that came from. Unless we don't know.
It, I guess it was just propelled on Hawk's performance alone.
It was just another one of those. It was in the air things.
Yeah. Clearly, I mean, it feels like it was knocking on the door in quite a few places.
I feel honestly that obviously Ashley always refers to British skew, which knows what it had on this award show. But I would think that it would be in the conversation for the I swear spot if it wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But weirdly enough, it might have been House of Dynamite because of that nomination as well, which is possible.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of the BAFTAs, I'll just go through it on what I've got on the chart rather than anything else. They did announce today that Claire Binns, who's the current creative director of Picture House, both cinemas and entertainment, i.e., the distributors, is getting the Outstanding Contribution to Cinema award. What I like about her is she literally started from the ground up. She started as an usher in the 80s, went to be projectionist at the Ritzy in London, and basically worked her way through. Started at Picture House somewhere in the mid 2000s, and organises festivals around the various chains that they've got, including basically taking over the running of the London wing of the Sundance Festival, which I think they renamed to something else. I can't remember, something to do with Picture House anyway. But basically, it's Sundance in all but name, sort of thing, or Sundance London in all but name. So yeah, we still yet to hear what's happening with the Fellowship. So we'll see what happens with that. This is the first time we get to talk about the Rising Star Award, i.e., the one that's voted on by members of the public. So, who knows? So with this, we have Robert Aramayo for his breakout performances in I Swear and Palestine 36. Miles Caton for Sinners. Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. Archie Madikwe, specifically this year for Lurker, even though he put out, I think, like, he was in 3 or 4 major films, like 2023, 2024. So
He's in Saltburn, isn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
Also with Lurker, though, he is a producer, so stepping up more so. And then Posey Sterling for Lollipop, which I have seen because I guess it showed up, I think, at the Edinburgh Festival 18 months ago and came out in June, but it already got put on television like a week or 2 back. And I understand why. I mean, she got, I think, the British Independent Film Award for Best Newcomer or Breakthrough Performance, so I guess it makes sense that she makes it in here. Interestingly, because of the way stuff works, I think it's only Chase, I think, is attached to something which I don't know whether they've started filming yet. And Archie, I think, is on something. But the other 3 seemingly have nothing listed, at least for sure, on IMDb. So usually with these, it's sort of look ahead and see what gigs that they've got. There's no obvious gigs for most of them. So we'll see how that develops over the case of the next 4 weeks. But I'd say a good list, mixing UK and international talent. Then for children's and family film, we have Arco, Bong, Lilo and Stitch, and Zootropolis 2. So nothing for How to Train Your Dragon, surprisingly.
Little Amelie was the one that surprised me.
Well, what I find interesting as well is Arco makes it in for children's and family film, but we might as well mention it here. In animated film, it's Little Amelie, Zootropolis 2, and Elio. So Zootropolis / Zootopia, how you want to call it, does the double, but Arco that easily could have didn't. Elio that could have easily done didn't, and Little Amelie didn't. How Arco made it in children's and family but not animated, and the same vice versa for Elio and Little Amelie, kind of confuses me.
I don't recall this category before. Did BAFTA add categories this year, Ashley?
No, remember, they brought it in last year because they wanted to give it to Paddington in Peru because they were that adamant it was going to be a success, and then when it turned out what it was,
so sad.
It went to Wallace and Gromit instead. Beating out Kensuke's Kingdom and Flow and Wild Robot. Which is, yeah, why I found it interesting, because I think... Where's the animated? Is it further up? Yeah, the fact that all 3 of them made it into animated film last year. Also, how... Wow, animated last year was 4. This year it's 3. What happened? I've only just noticed that.
It's typically 3 here, isn't it?
I want to say it usually is 3, but it's listed as 4 for last year. Which is intriguing. Then, regarding the short, starting with short animation, we have Cardboard Solstice and 2 Black Boys in Paradise. cardboard isn't a surprise considering it was the one that made it into the Oscar long list. So I figured it was probably going to get in here. And then on British short, we have Majid Safar, Nostalgia, Terence, This is Endometriosis, and Welcome Home Freckles.
All got robbed.
Then to the only two British specific ones. So, debut by a British writer, director, or producer. I'll have to go to my notes because the Wikipedia page doesn't list who is the respective people. So we have The Ceremony, which is the writer director Jack King and producers Holly Bryan and Lucy Mia. My Father's Shadow with Akinola Davis Jr. as director. I'm gonna say Wale Davis, just because of Wale. might be Whale, but they were the writer on it. Writer and director Harry Lighton for Pillion.
I feel like that's probably your one.
Director Mirid Carton for A Want in Her, and then Cal McCow as director and Hunter Adams and Owen Duran as writers on Wasteman. Which just so happens to star the guy that won the Rising Star Award 12 months ago, and also was announcing the nominations today.
I saw Pillion, and I went into Pillion blind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did not know that's what it was about.
The trailer gives away a lot.
Both of them, Melling and Skarsgård, are very, very good. I could definitely see why Skarsgård was on like the circuit a little bit. I also loved Stellan's statement when he was asked about what's it like. Was it embarrassing to see him do BDSM, and his response was something like, that I had no problem with. If he was acting poorly, that would be embarrassing.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think Pillion's my chance for that is in February, I believe. I don't know what the actual date is, but I think it's February because I know for a fact that it was Surratt is in February. So start checking.
The only major thing I heard, at least from when Iron Mouse was reacting to trailers she was watching for, I guess, upcoming films, which would make sense considering the sort of small, I guess, like staggered / festival style tour it's probably doing in America. How the lead is Dudley Dursley and people can't get that out of their mind. It's like, what's he doing this for?
I feel like he really got his serious actor cred with The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And pretty much ever since then, I've been able to kind of block out Dudley. I do see people still confuse him with the guy that played Neville, which I get. I think sometimes even I do that, but.
And then for Outstanding British Film, we have 28 Years Later, Ballad of Wallace Island, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, Die My Love, H is for Hawk, Hamnet, I Swear, Mr. Burton, Pillion, and Steve.
Yeah, it's nice to see I saw the Corral for a reason.
From what I've seen, that's a really cool list.
I'm kind of surprised Warfare didn't eke into this. The Roses seemed like something they would go for too, and apparently they just didn't.
I feel like there's a few things Warfare could have done throughout the season, and it just kind of dissipated.
I am happy. Obviously, the big takeaway for me is the Ballad of Wallace Island, which makes me very happy. Any nomination it's going to be something I believe deserves. I'm happy Die My Love got something.
Although I hear
Oh.
possibly 28 years later is the reason why Bone Temple failed. Possibly. Because people were just seeing the title 28 years later and thinking it's a re release, not realizing it's something completely separate.
So, wait a minute. Hold on. So, generally speaking, when there is a movie title, they go with the whole thing. So, you're telling me that they're counting Outstanding British Film as 28 years later, both parts?
No.
And why does it not say the Bone Temple?
But that's I mean. Technically, it would be eligible because of the release time. So,
Yeah, so it's not counted as both movies. It's Bone Temple. So why is it not listed as Bone Temple?
It's the nominations for the first movie.
Yeah, the nominations for the first one. I'm saying.
That's what
I'm saying the reason why I think Bone Temple is struggling in the box office now is people are thinking it's the same film because they just look at the first three words and they just see the same one and go, oh, okay, it's I've already seen it. That's the problem where you set the precedent of 28 days followed by 28 weeks followed by 28 years. You expect something that isn't referring to the original title.
It is funny when you think of the way audiences now are like, everything has to be more, like everything has to have a sequel. Every
There's a reason
miniseries.
why they called it 22 Jump Street, not 21 Jump Street 2.
And people clamor for sequels so badly and want it now. So finally, you're like, all right, here's your sequel right away, and everybody's now like, wait, I'm confused.
How dare you
But
give me work?
but then again, like, I only ever hear Bone Temple called the Bone Temple.
Yeah, exactly.
Perhaps it should have been. Or the Bone Temple 28 years later. Do it the other way round.
The Knives Out thing.
Yeah. When you see Wake Up Dead Man, you're like, oh, okay, it's the new Knives Out film. Not Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man. Good marketing there, guys. Anyway.
Yeah, cause I guess because the people who are like really looking for it have known for a long time it was going to be a trilogy, but I guess most regular people probably didn't know that.
Now the problem is, what are you calling the third one? 29 years later?
I was gonna say, given if that is the reason, the marketing people are probably scattering to figure that out. It's like, oh, we got to call it something else now.
Anyway, back to BAFTA, where we do get a bit of a difference here from the Oscars. VFX, we have Avatar: Fire and Ass, F1, Frankenstein, How to Train Your Dragon, and The Lost Bus.
Do we know why How to Train Your Dragon wasn't shortlisted at the Oscars?
I'm gonna quickly double check the VFX Guild because I can't remember whether it was in there. No, it didn't even make it for VFX.
This was the chance to nominate Mickey 17.
Oh no, it did. My bad. Sorry, the list that I got didn't have them in alphabetical order because they're idiots. I don't know.
Because it seems like it would have been a slam dunk nomination if it had been shortlisted.
Yeah, what I'm trying to see what's. Oh yeah, this is where Sinners just randomly got a VFX nod. Instead,
I think the first visual effects nomination, I would say, mainly comes from the two Jordan, which makes sense to me.
yeah. And then what's the other one for F1? Jurassic World Sinners. Oh, Jurassic World didn't make it in either on VFX. That's why. So BAFTA, I think, matched the Guild. Actually, um, then to sound, where we do have Warfare, along with Sinners, One Battle After Another, Frankenstein, and F1.
That's what I was saying when we were doing predictions. Was if Warfare had been shortlisted for sound again, I feel like that would have been a slam dunk. It's weird how these obvious choices weren't even shortlisted.
Makes you wonder, like, considering how these are relatively matching up somewhat with the guilds for their respective groups. Um, and supposedly how it's that part of the academy that votes on what gets, shortlisted, shall we say, rather than longlisted. For the general, all 10,000 academy members. It's weird how there isn't more of a carry through. Then for production design, we have Frankenstein, Hamnet, Mighty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners, which I'd say is fair. Trying to see if there's anybody like. I don't think there's anybody running against each other in any of these categories by the looks of it. There's no double nods. For original score, I want to say The Usual Suspects because I'm pretty sure this matches the Academy in Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. So that seems to be agreed upon.
It does. It's feel. I knew this would be weird. It does feel so weird doing these after the Oscar nominations come out because
Mm-hmm.
usually there's like so much to go into, but now it's just like, so did they end up? How much did they line up? Whereas usually we'd be debating on like what's gonna be in those slots where stuff that wasn't shortlisted by Oscars got in, but it's like, oh, we have all of our answers now.
Well, there is a bit of a swerve in makeup and hair because we have Frankenstein, Hamnet, Mighty Supreme, Sinners, and Wicked for Good. Somebody recognize it
Holy shit!
existed. My God. And in related news, costume design saw nominations for Frankenstein, Hamnet, Mighty Supreme winners, and Wicked for Good.
Are you trying to elaborate the title of the movie before it happens, Ashley? You literally just called it winners.
Well,
Some might say. Some might say.
I mean, it won. I'm pretty sure it won. Well, it certainly won costume last year. I can't remember whether it got makeup and hair at BAFTA, yet alone the Academy 12 months ago. It probably isn't. It's just there as sort of one to make up the numbers, I would say. There's stronger ones, I think, in costume design this year. Then to the two of the Big Ten, as we like to call it. So editing had F1 House of Dynamite, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. There's your House of Dynamite recognition for the show.
Yeah.
I'm glad these came out after we did predictions because that might have possibly swayed me. Because I did bring up
You did.
House of Dynamite in our editing conversation.
Completely.
Because it is a really good, like I said, it and Weapons both have that thing of we're watching the same stuff happen from the different perspectives, and it's really well done. So I actually really like this nomination. I like Weapons a lot more than I liked House of Dynamite, but I still really appreciate this nomination for it at least.
And then cinematography, we have Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
Same five it generally it has been.
Mm. Then the interesting one is casting, considering how some people are trying to say casting is acting ensemble. Because they went with, I swear, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Hamnet got nothing.
When I saw I Swear get into casting and how it did previously, I was swearing up and down, pun not intended, it was gonna get in the picture.
Yeah.
I really felt like they were headed that direction. And I felt like it was actually gonna go into acting as well.
Oh, it got one acting, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And I don't know this gentleman, but I do blame him 100%.
Then best film not in the English language. I don't want to say predictable. The fact that it's just because it matches the Oscars of it was just an accident, secret agent, sentimental value, Surratt, and voice of Hindu Rajab. Is like, okay.
It's funny because you really look at it and you see that I don't think that the Oscar 5 was ever going to be anything else.
I think this is another case also where I'm glad we didn't see these first, because that would have probably put me off going with that five. I would have said, I think there's going to be at least one difference. There
Yeah.
has to be.
It didn't go anywhere, but I was very happy to see Rental Family shortlisted as much as it was.
I keep forgetting about it so much. I still haven't seen Rental Family.
I really dug it, honestly. It's a fun watch, honestly.
I would like to see it. I just actually keep forgetting about it now.
So did the Academy. Don't feel bad. Luckily, they forgot about something else too, so that's all that matters. And No Other Choice was never going to be in this conversation as much as people tried to even put it in picture at one point.
There's people that'll fight you on the it wasn't the WGA thing, but I don't know.
I just never saw it happening. It was never an idea. Henry was always going to be my fifth.
And even it's one of those things where even if he didn't do that,
Mm-hmm.
just the accusation being out there could be enough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I find it interesting as well looking at it, the actual, because people were wondering whether the voting, could have been influenced by the Oscars. Definitely not. When they announced the long list, that's the day when voting opened for the BAFTA nominations, and voting closed on Tuesday the 20th. So 2 days before Oscars were even announced. So there wouldn't have been too much, sway of advertisement, I should say.
Where were we at the end?
Then we had documentary. which is 2,000 meters to Andrivka, Apocalypse in the Tropics, Cover Up, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and The Perfect Neighbor. I think the only one there. Did one of us bring up Apocalypse in the Tropics as predictions for Oscars? I want to say yes.
Not that I'm aware of.
I think Brian said he did. I think.
It was
Yeah.
somebody in chat. It
might
wasn't
have
one
been,
of us.
Brian in chat, yeah.
That makes sense.
And then to the 8. So for adapted, we have PTA for One Battle After Another, Tom Basden and Tim Key for The Ballad of Wallace Island.
Hell yeah.
It got in here.
All right.
Also, Harry Lighton's script for Pillion, Will Tracy for Begonia, and Chloe Zhao and Maggie O'Farrell for Hamnet.
I feel Train Dreams is missing here. Honestly.
I didn't think there'd be 2 British cues.
Wallace Island, weirdly enough, with how much they went for it in the short list, I felt like it was going to happen. Not just wishful thinking, I just felt like it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Pillion seemed like something that could happen, but I wasn't sure if it would. But I would have bet anything on Train Dreams getting in there. I'm glad I didn't. But can we bring something up now since we haven't talked about it yet, and it makes sense that it's weird that we haven't talked about it of all things. So I'm going to go on a little tangent real quick. It won't take long, I promise. It's just a small little trip, side trip. So we're talking about Dwayne and his bid for Oscar glory and the fact that Smashing Machine did makeup and that was the end of it. All right, fine. Well, there was Ashley, I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, don't you? And how we haven't brought it up yet, I have no idea. There is another wrestling connection to the Oscars this year. Someone that actually did get nominated. And AJ, I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
I became aware of it like 2 days ago.
The aforementioned Train Dreams, which we're talking about right now, has a producer involved. And the name is Marissa Mazzola. Now, you would know that name unless you remember watching 10 o'clock WWF on USA Network. But Marissa Mazzola is the wife of Shane McMahon.
On Wikipedia, she's credited as McMahon.
She is Marissa Mazzola McMahon. That's her shoot name. But yes, it says Marissa McMahon. It says Marissa Mazzola McMahon. But yeah, if I say Marissa Mazzola, only like real WWF fans from back in the day know what I'm talking about. But if I say Shane McMahon's wife, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And how we have yet to mention this until just now is completely beyond me.
If you showed me the picture lineup of those 10 and you said one of these has a wrestling connection, you know which one I would not pick.
Exactly. Yeah, Tony Storm is behind Hamnet. It's okay. I'd pay to see that right now. I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie. Tony Storm is Jesse Buckley. Let's go. So yeah, I need to take time to mention that because we of all things need to talk about.
Yeah, so for original screenplay, we have Bronte for Supreme, Marty Supreme, sorry. Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Kleber Mendonça Filho for Secret Agent, Kirk Jones for I Swear, and Eskil Voigt and Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value.
So, I believe the line's in Little Big League. It's actually Andrew McCarthy that says it, if I remember correctly. Kirk, I know you're a decent human being, but die like a dog. Thank you for taking Blue Moon's spot on this original screenplay lineup that it should have had.
I mean, there's quite a few things that could have gone here,
House of
but
Diamonds easily could have been in this spot too.
I mean, Ashley, have you seen I Swear?
Yeah, it's it does feel like it's this year's British film that could, sort of thing.
When I kept seeing it pop up constantly in the nominations as I kept looking at them as I was scrolling through in my office today, it was like, this is getting in the picture. It almost has to.
It's the
And
fact that how it
it
depicted a realistic depiction of dealing with Tourette's rather than quite a few of the stereotypical things that you did have
Sure.
back in the day. The one that sort of did kind of break the mold was John's Not Mad, they called it. It was a BBC documentary from like 89, I think. So we're talking like 35 plus years. The fact that it sort of depicted it and humanized it, it was the start of like people not treating Tourette's as like something to make sort of fun of.
Sure.
Sort of thing. And the fact that my local cinema, that usually doesn't dabble too much in things, had early previews as if it was a festival screening, then advanced previews before it actually opened on the Friday, and then ran for 4 weeks, during which there was supposed to be like big blockbusters and things like that. Let me see if I can get the UK Film Distributors Association page up so I can work out what it was being released against. But it was stuff that was like, okay, you know, I'm surprised it's having as much hold as it is, sort of thing. Let me quickly check.
I didn't know that. Realizing how clever the title is.
Mm-hmm. That's part of the intention, I think.
I mean, the only solace I can take in this is the fact that Blue Moon still got the Oscar nomination.
So yeah, Swear came out the same day as Good Boy and Tron Ares. And then if you look at least wide releases for the next 3 or 4 weeks, we had Good Fortune, Black Phone 2, After the Hunt, Roofman, the Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere thing. Chainsaw Man, I think, had a pretty wide release. Shelby Oaks was pretty much everywhere. Begonia, at least by the time we get to Halloween, so right at the end of October. I Swear was still having showings like 3 or 4 weeks on for something that really sort of, it must have, I don't know whether I can even get UK box office figures. Let me see if I can find it on Box Office Mojo if it allows me, because I'm intrigued to see where it did chart those weeks. Because it's the one that sort of, because you know, spoilers, we will be talking about it when we get to there we go. So yeah, it was number 3 for 2 straight weeks, and it only dropped out of the top 10 in its 6th week of release. So it nearly made as much money as One Battle After Another in its 3rd week. Then the following week, while Tron Ares and One Battle After Another dipped, it just about beat Tron Ares in terms of box office for week 2, and wasn't too far behind Black Phone 2, with Gabby's Dollhouse being the number 1 that week, probably because it was half term or around there. Yeah, there's Regretting You when it sort of dropped a little bit. Yeah, Begonia was number 2 because the Back to the Future re-release did better box office than. I don't know if that's damning of Begonia that a re-release of Back to the Future got better box office. And the last week it was in the top 10 was when Predator Badlands and The Coral was in the top, and Die My Love was also that week as well. So yeah, it's taken about $8 million over its 13-week run in the UK screens, of which it's only listed as being as wide as 684 screens, which I don't know whether that means. I don't know whether that's a high number. I'll have to quickly check. How many was Predator Badlands in? If it tells me. Because then I'll get a gist. Oh, they didn't disclose the numbers. Great. Answers on a postcard, everybody. Shit. But yeah, the fact that I Swear got as many nominations as it did shows you, yeah, it's probably the one that the Brits are most proud about. Because what, it matched. It got the same amount of nominations as Begonia, if you don't include the Rising Star thing, because that's technically the talent more than the actual film, I think. Question mark. Then, yeah, to supporting actress we go. With Odessa Azayam for Mighty Supreme, Inga Ipsdotter Lilias for Sentimental Value, Wumi Masaku for Sinners, Carey Mulligan for Ballas of Wallace Island, Owen's Happy,
yes,
Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another, and Emily Watson for Hamnet.
The Emily Watson thing sticks out like a sore thumb.
How many months in a row did I say her before I abandoned it?
Yeah.
I don't know what that would have done to my mind if this had happened pre our last prediction video.
A lot of things I feel like would have pushed us in different directions, like you mentioned earlier.
Of course, it also kind of felt like at our last prediction video, we didn't know exactly where Hamnet was.
Right.
Do we think this is like British skew for her? She is British, right?
Yeah,
I believe so.
what?
I've seen her play a lot of American characters. I'm not sure now.
It means that the 4 that missed out were Brenda Blethyn for Dragonfly, Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good, Amy Madigan for Weapons, and Gwyneth Paltrow for Mighty Supreme. So it wasn't an Elle Fanning sort of quote-unquote snub, because she already got snubbed when it got to the long list section. Although I find it weird that, like, we've got a long list of 10, but it's 6 that make it in on the acting front. So it's like, so you're already skewing it like most of them are going to get nominations, rather than like half and halving. Like, if it's 6, make it 12.
Do we think it was British skew for Emily Watson herself, or is that just the strength of Hamnet here?
It might have been the strength of Hamnet.
I mean, Hamnet's going to have the British skew to some extent as well, I'd say, even though it's clearly not with Spielberg and whatever producing. It's way more of an American production. But the fact as well that you'd have felt with something like Hamnet, they could have probably shot it in Eastern Europe and make it look right. But the fact that they actually shot it in Britain as well probably helps its situation. So it's like the pseudo British film.
Well, I feel I don't want to like speak in absolutes, and I don't know what's going to actually happen in supporting actress, but I feel that Teyana Taylor is slowly but surely like cruising to an undisputed victory at this point for the rest of the season.
I feel this is the most likely spot one we could cause the upset.
I hope it's Inga. Sentimental value.
I was going to say, it's really weird that there's things we don't know because Madigan's not at BAFTA, but Inga's not at SAG.
Right?
You could still say it's Taylor Madigan, with Taylor having the. Well, we said Taylor probably took the lead when Madigan ended up being Weapons' only nomination.
Yeah.
And she's in the movie that's like. I mean, Sinners has really taken over the public perception of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Everybody's
that conversation.
Everybody's saying it broke the nomination record. That means it's going to win, which is not how it works.
Oh.
I'm not saying Sinners doesn't have a chance. I'm just saying that I feel like One Battle's momentum has been here for a long time.
I'm begging for Carrie Mulligan.
So on that, the fact that Taylor's in the perceived winner by people who have seen more than one award season. Yeah. I don't know. I love that movie and I really like her in it, but that would be, as a win, it'd be a little baffling to me. I think it's perfectly fine as a nomination, and I don't think that's not just my wanting Madigan to be it, but I don't know. I mean, I did make the Marshall Ali comparison in whatever video that was, but even then, I feel like Ali had bigger moments than she does.
For sure.
I don't know, but we'll have to see. I'm really curious. I'm really curious in general what's going to happen at SAG. It drives me fucking crazy how late SAG is happening.
Yeah.
Because that's the show I'm really looking forward to.
Then, supporting actor. We have Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Peter Mullen for I Swear, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value.
I've been begging for Andrew.
That it's Delroy Lindo, Adam Sandler, Andrew Scott, and Alexander Skarsgård that miss out.
I've been Scott for BAFTA for the longest time, and every year I keep forgetting the literal British skew and did not know any knowledge of what I Swear was. When I looked at the list, I thought, okay, that's a layup, 100%. That's Andrew Scott. He's going to get in. It's going to be great. We're going to get original screenplay. Ethan Hawke's going to get in. No.
Well, you got one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the list and so I was standing there at my computer and I was trying to pinpoint what I thought was going to be the nominees before I even looked at it. So I was like, all right, Del Toro, I guess Elordi's a thing. Mescal, because obviously they love Hamnet. Sean Penn, Stellan Skarsgård, and I was like, Andrew Scott. That makes the most sense. Wait a minute. And I was like, well, I don't think it's Sandler. And I don't think it's Delroy Lindo. So I was thinking it would be Skarsgård that would get in. because they seem to really enjoy Billion. So both Skarsgårds would get in. But they didn't go that route, and I didn't know who Peter Mullen was. And I was thinking, okay, that's Andrew Scott's spot. And it wasn't. And I looked over and I was like, sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes you get those curveballs that you don't necessarily see coming. That, if you really look back in retrospective, by this time, it wasn't a curveball. I swear it was a player at this point. And that I didn't acknowledge at the beginning because I didn't know it was a thing. But I was.
What were we saying?
I really thought at this point they were gonna cancel out Sean Penn. I really thought for some reason BAFTA of all things was going to be what he didn't get. I don't know why, because I was on the Skarsgård bandwagon of being a double Skarsgård nomination and Andrew Scott being the last spot, and I thought Sean Penn would have been the surprise. And then I was like, no, that's stupid. Owen, you know better. And I went to what I had, and then I looked at the list, and I saw Andrew Scott was missing, and I saw Peter Mullen was in there instead. I was like, well, I hate this, but it makes sense. Because it lines up with everything else that was happening for the entire day, up to that point. Andrew Scott will get flowers in a couple months. Don't worry. I'll make sure of it.
He has all these big moments, and he's such a memorable character already. Watching it back, I'd like to think the thing that puts Penn over is the jet ski bit. Might be one of my favorite moments in the movie. What I was going to say before was, just as a side note, while he's here, has there been confirmation that Peter Mullen's okay after that scuffle he was in? Because he's kind of an older guy.
I think he's okay.
I really have no knowledge of what you're referring to.
Basically, somebody was getting assaulted up in Glasgow back in September.
Oh, okay.
And he sort of stepped in to try and sort of stop it from happening and got attacked. There was actually news regarding it this week because the Dylan Bennett, the guy's name, pleaded guilty to the assaults on both Mullen and a woman near the O2 Academy up in Glasgow. And the sheriff, because they don't call them judges up in Scotland, jailed him immediately for 18 months. So I believe the only physical stuff by the looks of it is Mullen got headbutted. And both he and the woman were threatened with a glass bottle by the assaulter. But yeah, I don't think anything else too much has happened to him. So, other than the head wound, I think he was relatively okay.
That's pretty solid of him to step in. I tend to assume, what's weird is when I think of him, the first thing that comes to mind is Tyrannosaur. So that's how I see him.
I'll always remember him as Mother Superior from Trainspotting.
Yeah,
that's where he first showed up, and that's where I was like, yes, this man knows what he's doing. And then he had. Trying to think, it was the Magdalene Sisters that he also wrote and directed as well. Because that's the thing, he's. Oh, what was the other one that he wrote and directed? I'm trying to remember. Was it Young Adam? or was it? I think he just starred in Young Adam. I think. Yeah, he didn't actually direct that one. Oh yeah, he did Ned's as well from 2010. That got pretty well received. Then to lead actress, where we have Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, Renate Rensiv for Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone for Begonia, meaning that it was Symphony Erivo, Jennifer Lawrence, Andrea Riseborough, and Tessa Thompson that missed from the long list.
Yeah, everything we know now, this one's pretty much exactly what you think it would be. I'm still
to some extent possibly confirming that Chase Infinity may have been number 6.
Yeah, I'd say so, 100%.
I don't know why. I'm a little surprised about Hudson here.
You're not the only one. I wanted it so bad, and I was thinking this is going to be Jennifer Lawrence's nomination.
It's interesting to see now just how much Hudson was in the conversation.
Great being right. I enjoy that sometimes.
Because if you look at the major televised stuff, she didn't miss anything.
She got everything.
Mm-hmm.
I would say she has to be 5th, though, wouldn't you say?
So it's what, Buckley,
Byrne, Rensva, Emma Stone, Kate Hudson.
Probably. Well, the fact that she's the movie's only nomination pretty much anywhere. Well, Byrne. Of course, yeah. God, I don't know.
I'd like to believe Kate Hudson is in, like, I'd love to believe Kate Hudson's in the 3rd spot because she got everything. But
Rensva makes sense because of how
much they love Sentimental Value.
Yeah, and so my thought was that maybe she's above Stone, but I don't know. Stone's an interesting one where it's like we know how much they love her, and they did end up taking to Begonia pretty well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The industry as a whole did. But yeah, between 4 and 5, between the two of them, I think it's kind of hard to say. It's easy to say Stone, but I don't know for sure.
I am very happy to be on the right end of this conversation because I wasn't sure if I was going to be, especially when the nominations were ticking away on Thursday.
Then for lead actor, we have Robert Aramayo for I Swear, Chalamet for Mighty Supreme, DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Jesse Plemons for Begonia.
Edgerton missing this is interesting.
Check. Well, yeah, so Russell Crowe for Nuremberg, which then also makes me wonder why the fuck was Nuremberg nominated in so much when it didn't even get anything.
Nuremberg had best visibility but got absolutely no actual anything out of it.
And then also Harry Melling for Pillion Mist and Cillian Murphy for Steve Mist as well.
It's funny, by this time, AJ, I don't know if you were looking at it the same way I was, but I had Aramayo getting in, like, he was one of the first ones I penciled in because I felt like it was just going to happen.
Yeah, I think especially think it was the Mullen nomination was like, oh, they're pretty in on this. It was the thing you were talking about where it is surprising that it's not a picture nomination.
Yeah, that's the weirdest one of the whole thing. It's like, why was I Swear not nominated for picture? And I honestly, I was at this point, I was kind of scared they weren't going to nominate Hawk at all.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see him, actually.
Especially with them not going for Blue Moon into the other categories. It was like, okay, fine, at least Hawk's in here, so that's all that matters.
I mean, we're talking Edgerton, but at BAFTA, Train James really isn't here much.
I honestly, the last person I had listed on here, if they were going to go with an alternate, was going to be Cillian Murphy. And I don't know what compelled me to go with that, but that was what I was jumping out at me immediately.
Ugh.
All right.
Well, no, for me, possibly Pillion would have been the better choice, but I guess because of I Swear, that was the sort of the other one, really. It's probably between them two, I'd have thought, in terms of the six.
Cillian was on my radar too, but when it didn't do as well as I thought it was going to, I kind of like went back on it. I'll defend Russell Crowe in Nuremberg. I don't care. I like that movie way more than I thought I would.
It's interesting they put him in leading when I feel like Rami Malek. Yeah, Rami Malek's kind of the lead, it feels like.
Rami Malek is the only lead in that movie.
Yeah.
Everybody else is supporting, but they don't get that.
Then to director, where the list is PTA for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Yorgos Lanthimos for Begonia, Josh Safdie for Mighty Supreme, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao for Hamnet.
Honestly, this was the...
Meaning that the women missed. Lynn Ramsey for Die My Love, Catherine Bigelow for House of Dynamite, Hikari for Rental Family, and Kauta Ben Hania for Voice of Hin Rajab.
This 6 was all that it was ever going to be. There was no other... I don't see any way this could have been any other 6, honestly. Just looking at that short list. Bigelow had a chance, but House of Dynamite, well, it got something. So, I mean, it was there. They don't want to do anything with Lynn Ramsey. Real Family was never in this, and Henry Job was just, hey, glad to be here. But yeah, this 6 seemed like it was always going to be solidified. I forgot about it being 6. I was like, oh yeah, there's 5. Like, oh no, Yorgos is in this. Okay, that makes sense.
When it comes to what the Oscar votes were, I'd be really curious where Lanthimos and Del Toro were in regards to each other.
You know this because we had this conversation for quite a long time. Lanthimos almost made my 5.
Yeah, I seriously considered it.
He was the last cut I made, and I was like, wait a minute, it is going to be Chloe Zhao. Okay, fine, I'll give in, and that's what the Oscar 5 was.
Because I would feel like, because Frankenstein's always been in a good place overall. And Begonia did a lot more industry-wise than we were expecting.
Certainly.
And then you've got Lanthimos having this and Del Toro having DGA. It feels like they're like right here, wherever they were. Obviously, we'll never know, but I'd be curious.
And then Best Picture, where it's Hamnet, Mighty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Meaning, missing out was Ballad of Wallace Island, Begonia, Frankenstein, I Swear, and Nuremberg. What the shit?
See, this made me realize how in they were on Hamnet. Because they could have given Hamnet spot to I Swear easily. They could have given Sentimental Value spot to I Swear as well. I'm glad Sentimental Value's in film. I really am, because I was kind of nervous about it, honestly. Sinners, Marty Supreme, and One Battle were always there. And as we got further and further, it seemed like Hamnet was always going to be there. Sentimental Value's had a really weird award season so far.
with the total absence at SAG and then its Oscar performance, the only missing puzzle piece was that Sentimental Value did great here.
It did absolutely great here, and I was very happy with that. I was also happy that Frankenstein did not get in a spot in this lineup.
But that means if you exclude Rising Star nominations, One Battle After Another led the way with 14, Sinners with 13, and Hamlet and Mighty Supreme on 11. I pause there because there's only 2 films that technically got everything off the long list. One of which is Sentimental Value, which got 8 for 8, along with Joining Frankenstein, which I think was like 11, possibly. The only other one to get all of its nominations was F1.
Yeah.
It was longlisted for 3 and got in all 3 of them. So, and then Begonia and I Swear were both on 5 nominations each. So, they're your predominant ones. So yeah, we'll see how that goes with the ceremony in 3.5 weeks.
Merry Christmas.
Because it's February the 22nd for the BAFTAs. With Alan coming. Which I swear that they've chosen because American people will know of him because of the traitors. That might be why.
Turning ahead.
Well, we know all the real ones have always known Alan Cumming since Boris, but
yeah, very true.
Or Floop, depending on how old you are.
Well, I just see another stat though. The 11 nods for Hamlet is a BAFTA record for a female-directed film as well. And yeah, Hamlet's still it's still in the top 2 in terms of box office. It's doing well. Housemaid's still beating it after 5 weeks, which seems a bit crazy. That's got way much of a hole that like it's crazy over here.
Housemaid's good. I'll defend that movie. Like I said, I didn't realize how much I needed a trashy '90s thriller in my life as much as I did, but it hit the right spot.
Let's quickly check the chat. Try and get that not working. There we go. So
no chat. Bye bye.
it was a grey screen for a minute because like there's shit was happening, so I've managed to unshit it. I don't know. So yeah, Josie says my brother and his wife loved the How to Train Your Dragon ride and rode it several times.
The coaster, Josie?
I think so, yeah. Because remember, how he and his
solid.
wife were over there, yeah.
What's it called? Is it called Test Drive? Is that what it is, AJ? That's what the song is? Something like that?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
So when the score kicks in and the final like part of Hiccup's Wing Gliders, oh my god, it's awesome. I love that ride. Like I said, I hate How to Train Your Dragon with a passion, but Burke is one of the best theme park lands. Oh my god, just fantastic.
Yeah, I did not have the answer to that question, but
something Drive, I'm pretty sure.
Josie saying BAFTA should bring back the jury. They do. That's what the long list is. The long lists are very much jury. Josie asks, what do you make of Matt Damon saying about Netflix asking writers to repeat the plot multiple times? I think such a move is bad for storytelling. Yeah.
I was I was talking about that back when Red Notice came out. We've known that for a long time, but
Right.
Damon kind of finally put it into the mainstream thought process. The I don't remember where I first heard that. It was like a throwaway comment from somebody that actually worked at Netflix, and nobody noticed.
How many
So
times do
I
they
like it.
state the plot in Train Dreams?
Believe it or not, not a lot of people speak in Stranger. But yeah, it's I love that he put that out there, and I also love that he put that out there while he was promoting his Netflix movie. I
I
want to
saw
know what
the
the
one interesting bit as well is like some young people wanted to see an old movie because they were really excited to see it. So they put it on, and after 15 minutes, they were just looking at their phones and not giving a damn.
Mhm.
And then, upon it being turned off, they said, "Why did you turn it off?" It's like you're not engaging with the thing. You're just like, "Oh, let's see what's going on." And like, if that's what
That's
streaming's done to us,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, we're fucked.
yeah, Josie, I don't know if you saw, but I did a review of Red Notice when it came out. I pretty much said everything I felt about it in that video. So it's yeah, it's not favorable.
Oh, Jersey asks, what Oscar emissions this season you think are going to look bad in a couple of years or, in a decade from now?
I want to say the first. I mean, if they did, because like we've been saying, to the Academy's credit, they did a pretty good job with these nominations.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like I don't know if it's because we were just talking about it, but the very first thing that jumped in my head was when people watch Train Dreams in the future, they might wonder why Edgerton's not here, even though we have a very solid actor lineup already. But and Plemons' snub has already gotten quite a bit of backlash, but again, it's just a crowded category. That's an issue though that I hate about Oscar discourse with people that aren't really following the race is you always get these people that come in that are like, "Oh, it's a disgrace that this wasn't nominated. Why wasn't this nominated?" But it's like most of the people that say that, first of all, haven't even looked up who else was nominated, let alone have seen those other movies. That's where most of that conversation even comes from. I get if you've like seen all the contenders and then you can say like, oh, I could have easily taken this person out or whatever, but it's more often than not the people that are saying that with the most passion for some reason are the people that were never watching the race, had no idea who the other contenders are, and are just going on the performance by itself. And the fact that there's stuff that you just already know isn't the kind of thing the Academy is going to go for anyway. It's a I hate those people.
Josie says, let's just say that BAFTA doesn't always correctly predict the future Best Picture winner, but I wouldn't apply that reasoning this year, as one battle most likely is going to justifiably sweep.
It seems that way, Josie, unless something wants to throw a
I thought
curveball.
at
But
one point the alt could be Hamnet, but I'm not so sure anymore, at least in terms of BAFTA. Best British Film will be interesting to see what the winner is. Mm-hmm. Parsnip says, who's so far ahead so far in the prediction game? If you want a recheck of those numbers, as of the Globes, I am on 44 points, Owen's on 46, AJ's on 50. We'll be doing predictions next week for the guilds. then more than likely the following week we'll be predicting the spirits, and then the following week predicting BAFTA.
This is gonna be one of those years where it's like predicting the guilds is gonna be so throwaway because we're probably all gonna match up, and it seems quite easy. At least as far as excluding SAG, but like BGA, WGA, and all that, PGA.
So so we'll do all the guilds next Tuesday, most likely.
Josie says I wouldn't be surprised if Wunmi got the BAFTA because she's British. That's why I'm wondering if usually one of the four acting things gets the British skew, but because of the momentum Buckley has, you kind of already have that anyway. So it'll be interesting to see if Wunmi can sort of cause an upset as well.
I'm really
Especially
interested.
because I believe because of the staggered release, Oscars voting actually opens in and around BAFTAs because that's about the same time that they're doing the luncheon that they do for all the nominees. I think. Let me quickly
I'm
check on the calendar.
I'm really interested what's going to happen in the supporting category. I'm going to stand by my Skarsgård theory. The Skarsgård takes a BAFTA and Oscar, and whatever happens at SAG is going to be fun for a little bit. But
Yep,
yeah.
I'm right. Oscar voting begins on the 26th of February, 4 days after BAFTA.
So what we're saying is there's a likely chance that BAFTA will influence more
There's a chance.
for people to just kind of follow momentum
I
or
want to
vote
say
on momentum.
that's usually happened though, because I want to say it happened 4 years ago as well because of the Olympics, like staggering the sort of Oscars coming, having to sort of come out a few weeks later, which is weird because the Olympics is happening in like early to mid-February, so it's got nothing to do with March. I don't know why that needs to be shifted. I don't know. How ABC's got enough complication that they're having to do the Olympics coverage and the Super Bowl this year. They didn't work that one out. I'm trying to see when the luncheon's supposed to be. The nominees' luncheon is February the 10th. So 2 weeks from now. Uh, if Lockjaw was to endorse a product in an ad, what would it be? He'd be the guy that would say the ammunition commercials in any GTA game.
Yeah, I want to get creative, but I've got nothing.
Imagine a local commercial for Sensei's lessons. Have it in
That'd
the
be
style
fun.
of that parody, like Jones' big ass truck.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is what we never got, which would have been Diedrich Bader, Napoleon Dynamite, doing one of those PSA commercials on public access for his dojo.
You'd think there'd be a lot like with the Punch Drunk Love features and the Magnolia documentary. That One Battle's Blu-ray and 4K has no features whatsoever.
No,
We have to wait until the Steelbook special edition in a few months. And
with
even
the
then, from what apparently is listed, it might not even have a commentary, which for a
it doesn't.
PTA seems amazing. Mm. Um, Rewatch some of Moody's point with my brother yesterday. So funny. My husband's toe. I want a teen soap opera with Willa and her friends and Bob being the goofy dad like the dad in Moody's Point. Adding, I could see Bob losing a toe. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Bob feels that way.
Speaking of losing appendages, Josie, it's time for you to watch Four Rooms. I greatly recommend.
Josie also says, I agree with you about the lineups, AJ. And then whether it's regarding, I don't know which of it it's regarding, it says, you have practical input. Oh, and that means. The only bit I know about appreciating input is the blooming Bloodhound Gang. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals.
Short Circuit, come on, need input.
It sounds good, whatever it is, so I'll take it.
So yeah, that's our lot. We will be returning this time. Well, yeah, roughly this time next week.
Yeah, I'm off earlier, so yeah, that's going to be a thing.
To get through the guilds, predicting we'll probably do it in the usual order of building to the actors one, because it's the only one that we actually get to properly see.
Accurate.
Even though the order that we do have this time, it's actually Directors Guild, which I believe they just announced Camille Nanjiani's doing it. So
Yeah.
I guess after what happened at the Globes, Judd Apatow lost his kick. Or Nolan's like, I'm not having him do that on my watch. And then, yeah, so in terms of the schedule, we've got DGA next in a week and a half, followed by Spirits, followed by trying to think, BAFTAs, and then SAG and PGA are the same weekend. And then WGA wedged between that and the Oscars.
Mention how much I hate this calendar this season. I hope 2027.
It's absurd how early we have to predict SAG, given where our first guild lies.
Mm-hmm. Want to take us out, Owen?
Yeah. So we are back next week, as Ashley mentioned. That's going to be on Tuesday. And lots of predicting still to come. Lots of content still to come. Ashley can be found on X at Ash is my name UK. More Ashley content forthcoming. We just dropped a McDonald's video a couple days ago. Check that out if you haven't yet. I may have figured the issue out with my uploading situation, so I don't feel like that's going to be a problem in 2020. I guess that remains to be seen. Hopefully that if you didn't get a chance to check out Ashley's, AJ's, and actually mine for our nomination reactions, that's available on this channel right as we speak. AJ cannot be found on social media. Also, we'll have more content coming in the near future. Speaking bluntly, returning sooner rather than later, along with movies, quite possibly from 2026. So yes, stay tuned for that. I can be found on X at Sir Owen Disney. And like I said, I have videos from all the way back in 2024 that I'm putting up right now. So I could take you guys all the way to Horror Nights at this point. And I feel like that might be the direction we go. If it's not a regular Popcast or awards coverage in any way, shape, or form, it's going to be voices content, sipping snacks. I've got water parks videos. Obviously, that's in July. Everyone knows that's how it always works. And yeah, I mean, I got concert footage. I got Hanson, Simple Plan, obviously John Stamos and the Beach Boys, which I'm super proud I was able to be there for. That's coming. So yeah, stay tuned for more content. Thank you everyone that was here in live chat. Sorry I wasn't on camera. Again, I got off work at 5 and literally had to rush here, and I didn't want my phone to die. So that's just awkward to happen on camera anyway. So that's the reason why you don't see my face. But yeah, that's your show for tonight. Thanks everyone in our live chat. But whether you chimed in or you're lurking, we appreciate having you every single time we do a show here. More content forthcoming. So in the meantime, it might be a little controversial, and I don't get political on here, but yeah, Water Parks has a new song that is probably needs to be heard at this point. It's less than 2 minutes, and for the state of the world right now, yeah, you might want to listen to it 100%. I 100% support it. It's on my X if you want to see the retweet. So also, you can any minute now, Red Guitar, if lyrics were confidential, just Water Parks before Park 6 comes out later this year. And that's going to be your show. Always remember to have the best day ever. 'Tis the season after all. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.